Hello. Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning. Good evening, Stephanie. Good morning, Ashley and Ellen.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good morning. So, so thank you all for joining our seminar for tonight. And so let me see. Okay. So we got quite lots of students here, and just to let Ashley and Ellen to know that we also have other region of colleagues here today with us. We got colleagues from Indonesia and also Korea, and some of the students are there as well. Okay. Oh, we got our, is that student called Max? Is it a student from Taiwan or
Australia.
is it from UK? Australia. I see. Okay. Daphne, should I start or just wait for another few minutes?
I think maybe 1 more minute. Okay. Yeah.
Okay.
Because, yeah.
Before I start the seminar, can students put the message on whether they're interested in undergraduate program or whether they're interested in postgraduate, and which course, please?
Is it okay as well, Kelly, if I put the link to the Miro board in the chat as well for those who might not have seen it? Hopefully that works. If it doesn't, we have a backup idea.
Okay. Yeah. Probably. Yeah. Kelly. Yeah. We can start. Yeah. It is 7 o'clock in Taiwan.
All right, sure. And so, like, thank you very much for joining our seminar tonight. It's all about automotive transport design, and I believe some of the students interested in product design as well. So, this is our time for our tutor to like introduce our programs, and also like if students were interested in like PG programs or undergraduate programs, that like please leave the message in the chat box. And then so I will pass it on to Ash.
Yeah, sure.
Or, yeah.
Yes. Brilliant.
Okay.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you. Sorry. Did you want anything else?
Are you able to do the sharing or?
Yes, I can do it. Yeah, I can do everything.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
it won't be any problem. Well, that's just. Oh no, I can't. I haven't got permission. You just got to share. The need to organise and present and
Okay.
share.
Hold on.
There we go. Yes, perfect. Yep, I can share now. Cool. Let me just get myself comfortable for a second. Not on my own normal office chair at the moment. Right. Okay, so am I okay to just start?
Yeah.
Lovely. So thank you, Kelly, for organising this, and it's really good to meet everybody. My name's Ashley Knight. I'm one of the tutors here, and in particular the first year tutor here at Coventry University in automotive and transport design. And I'm joined by my colleague here, Alan Barrett, who's part of the Masters MA team And yeah, in this session, it's really giving you a nice overview of what it is that we do, who we are, what sort of things you can expect if you were to join us over here in the UK in Coventry, what the course is made of, what sort of content you're expected to be learning and studying, the people, the companies that we work with on a daily, weekly basis, and yeah, ultimately kind of what it is that you'd expect to get out of your time with us. I found a couple of example pieces of work as well from a couple of students that from our second year a couple of years ago that I think would be a good exemplar again to show you actually what the outcome of some of the projects are. And also, should we have time, obviously the Miro board that I've shared in the link is a way for you guys, if you have anything, if you have a portfolio or if you've got any individual work that you'd just like to share and potentially get a little bit of feedback on. What we're hoping to do, if we've got that little bit of time, is to just play around and give you some tips and pointers, sit down with you, or I've got my graphics tablet with me, and I'll kind of pull the sketches up. We can get your idea around what it is that you're wanting to do, trying to do with those sketches, and maybe just give you some little advice to take away and practice when you leave. So what I'll do first is I'll pull up my put my windows. I'll just share. Oh, it would help if I share the screen, not the window. Just stop sharing for a second. Sorry. Share and share screen. There we go. Here. So, it presents mode. So we're going to give you the lowdown of what you kind of receive if you were to be here with us on our open days, and like I said, tell you everything that you need to know about the course. So. Yeah, welcome. So if you were to join us here, obviously we're really we try and pride ourselves on being one of the most dynamic, innovative and modern universities in the area, especially within the area of automotive and transport design. We're really well renowned for what it is that we do, and we've been doing this for over 50 years now. Just last year we celebrated our 50th year of our first graduating cohort. So the course has been running now probably about 54, 55 years there or thereabouts. And we pride ourselves on being able to constantly evolve, constantly be able to develop and grow with the industry, with the times. We're being inspired constantly by the practices around us, by the research that we do internally, that our students partake in, and obviously that alumni that we'll get to talk about throughout the presentation. And we're constantly coming back and giving back to the course year in, year out to make it what it is today. And we're alumni dispersed across the globe. We've got people like Miles Nerberg, head of Aston Martin. We've got people like Cole Gotham, who are now head of SIAC London. Alan, are there any notable names that come to your mind when it comes to our alumni and the credibility that we have from our course?
Don't really. Names are difficult to remember actually, but we have people dispersed globally in quite high-ranking positions, because they're at the age now where they're sort of vice presidents or directors of design with the relevant budgets, so they can actually support the course really well, and they have a great interest in the students on this course. We have people dispersed in China, America, obviously Europe and Britain, so very much globally.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and what we pride on ourselves on is that they want to come back and continue to help us. So we'll have people, as Alan said, globally, whether it be coming from China, the guys from SIAC with our competitions that we hold every year. Coventry have the privilege of being able to receive kind of a little bit of a heads up or a pre-introduction to some of those competitions because of the partnerships that we have. Our graduates have a great network to then use and reach out to when it comes to moving forward into their careers. And obviously, what we aim to do here at Coventry is to connect your passion, what it is that you're actually really enjoy about what you do. I think the beautiful thing about automotive and transport design is that, on the whole, a very large majority of the people that join our course and join us here are passionate about automotive or transportation in some way, shape, or form. And when you're a part of something where everybody is on the same wavelength, that's oh, well, the lights are dimming on me. It's really easy to kind of build that career aspirations, build those skills around like-minded people, develop aspirations, goals, and hopefully exceed those expectations that you had when you first joined us. And we compare those passions with the skill set that you need in order to actually achieve and become part of that industry. We also make sure that we give you the professional skills, the confidence skills, and paired with those opportunities to make sure that when they become available to you, you're ready and you're willing to take those on without fear of kind of failure, as it were, because you'll have all the skills and the aptitudes that you'll need. So how will you be taught and how will you learn here? A lot of what we do is studio based. We try and keep our traditions, our things traditional with the way that we approach teaching. So the learning environment is as dynamic and interactive as possible. So we make you part of that experience. We pride on ourselves at Coventry to have the students be a part of that experience and moulding the experience as you go with us. We make sure we're taking things on board, your preferences, the way in which you learn, whether it be individually or as in groups. We work a lot within our studios. We've got a lovely studio space that we share with all the years. So when you're working, when you're working in the studio, you have the ability to talk to first years, second years, third years, or even in some cases, MA students. So you've got a breadth of experience around you. Lectures and presentations, obviously we have theatres, we have small studios, small working spaces, we're working in groups and individuals. We have a state-of-the-art and we say country leading at the very least workshop environments where we've got 5 and 3-axis milling machines, we've got 3D printers, we've got an incredible play studio, and all of this is available to you as and when you need it to suit the work that you're doing at any one time. And these aren't gate kept at any point. You're free to kind of come and go as you please, as long as it suits the project that you're working on. And everything is also 100% coursework based, so there are no exams with what we do, which I think for a lot of people might be a really good thing to hear. So if you're not somebody who thrives in exams, that's not something you have to worry about when you join us. It's all about the work that you produce for that particular module, that particular course. We build on the fundamental skills, which will apply progressively throughout more and more complex projects. So with myself in the first year, we'll build those fundamentals, those basics, those core skills and mechanics that are needed to kind of implement projects and grow skills, whether it be verbal, physical, analog skills, digital skills. All of these things we'll build upon, and gradually we'll build on that information with every project, and each project will progressively get more and more challenging, more and more complex, and demand a little bit more skill from you. But we'll give you those skills and that knowledge as we grow as well. So you'll kind of grow with the projects. And project briefs are designed to enhance and reinforce the developing skills and align with your career goals. So we work in blocks, and each block or each module, however you prefer to consider it, is tailored to a specific skill, is tailored to developing an outcome to measure your success from when you started to when you finish. And again, those projects are tailored in such a way that they build up that repertoire that you need. So when you come to your final year, you come to the degree show, and then obviously employability, you're well versed and you're well experienced and equipped with the knowledge for whatever area of the industry you kind of see yourself going into. And we encourage you to think critically, experiment broadly, and to allow you to identify your true strengths. What we don't want is somebody to come in and say, this is all I'm doing, and it is what I'm going to do from day one all the way until the end. We've got no problem You join us and say, I want to be a clay modeler, and you leave being a clay modeler, but it's very much to your advantage that we challenge you. We allow you to think and experience the other areas of design industry, the other areas of design departments that you'll be interacting with in the professional world, and have a well-rounded view of what this industry is, to again make sure you're a really robust and competent designer. So obviously we teach with industry experience. So all of our tutors will come with a different skill set, a different knowledge set, and set of skills and experiences that allow us to be diverse in the way that we approach things. We're diverse in the sense that we can offer different skills, different perspectives on the industry, on projects. We all offer a unique perspective on whatever it might be that you're doing, and therefore we can give you a really nice broad overview of again the projects and what they entail. We have research experience, so we have people who are very knowledgeable in many areas of the industry, whether it be engineering, whether it be boats, whether it be hydrogen powered, and we have those who are extremely well connected with industry contacts, and again reaching out to those alumni, that constantly come back and again feed knowledge, but also provide support for you guys when you join here, which we'll talk about a little bit. So we'll be supporting you with things like lectures, case studies, skills development sessions. You'll be doing a lot with that with myself. I specialise in the analog skills, Photoshop 2D, a bit of AI, and some polygon subdivisional modelling. We have other tutors who specialise in alias or visualisation modelling, or again, like I said, research and critical thinking and analysis. And we offer a range of mentoring skills, and that's not necessarily just within our own cohorts, but also the university from a holistic standpoint. We can offer mentoring to make you a very well-rounded person, not just a designer. So in first year, if you're with me, if you were to join us, it would be, like I said, building those, enriching those foundational skills, making sure you understand the bare basics of what an automotive or transportation designer needs from a skills standpoint. We'll be looking at the ideation, what goes into an actual project, and how do we ideate? What does it mean to ideate from nothing or from a source of inspiration? How do we take that and run with that and let it grow and flourish and adapt to the brief and the narrative? And that comes to creative thinking, how to challenge your conventional way of thinking, trying to think outside of the box in a way that is innovative, new, and hopefully revolutionary in some way, to tackle an idea in a way that has not been done before. Form-based solutions, you're challenged to experiment with analog clay, physical modelling, whether it be hard modelling with styrofoam or even cardboard. Everything has its merits, and we'll again give you the skills and the experiences to explore those. And with clay projects, where we work with people like JLR in particular to develop fundamental clay skills. So again, you have an appreciation for the medium and the techniques that then sow into other areas like digital modelling. So things like Alias, which is an automotive designated software. When you start working with things like clay and Alias, those two skills work very well together. They complement knowledge base. So it reinforces knowledge in all areas. And obviously design projects. Each project is designed in such a way that we do our best to mirror and mimic a real world scenario project where we can, in order to deliver a particular skill set with that particular project, whether it be analog, digital based, or research based. In second year, I think this is a lot of the best area where people tend to flourish. This is where you find the niche and really get into the nitty gritty of things. So you'll start to understand more about trends, materials, and technologies. You'll understand user requirements and what it means to actually interact with your physical products from a user interface, a user experience, and a HMI, human machine interface perspective. And that really starts to make you critically evaluate your work. It builds on that that's making this unique? What problem are you solving? And is what you're doing effective? And again, those skills that we're talking about, each project will be localized on a particular skill or particular situation that enhances one area of your design repertoire. Industry aligned projects. So we have a great colleague, James Eyre, who is our deputy course director, who's done an excellent job at continually bringing in industry. So last year we worked with the likes of Aston Martin for our second semester, and there was a large project done with them amongst other people. But those projects, those people connections are being built on constantly. And this year we're seeing JLR working with our second years for the first 6 weeks on a creative project, talking to them about what creativity means within JLR, how to understand that creative process, the journey that they go through within the industry and within their studio, and how we can translate and kind of take that on. So the students at the moment have a one-to-one experience every week for a good 6 hours with a range of different designers who come in and sit with you, talking to you about your project. And in the second semester, those similar individuals will be coming in and leading another project as well. We also work again with Aston Martin. We've got closer connections with smaller consultancies like Avant or SP1 or DMO, who tend to kind of come in and offer great support. Similarly, the likes of Context, which are a growing design consultancy. And again, you'll have face-to-face interactions with these on a weekly basis, presenting your work, learning how to communicate verbally and visually through your own work, and being challenged. I think that's the one thing second year does. It challenges you to step up and to grow as an individual and a designer, and again, grow those professional skills. Third year is about putting it into practice. Some of you may take the opportunity to take a placement, an intern or an exchange. Maybe your second year was extremely profitable, and some of the connections that you were able to make in the industry projects yielded a placement opportunity. We've seen a large majority of people going to our friends over at Avant. They've taken about 3 so far. We've got people who are currently at SAYAC, who are on their placement after winning competitions, and they take a gap year, whether it be for 6 months, and they come back in the later year, and they take multiple placements throughout the year, or a single 12-month placement. But again, that's will give you the connections to make that happen, and again, align with the skills that you develop and the portfolios that you'll be creating based on the projects that you'll set. We'll put those connections in front of you, and it's up to you to take those opportunities. You can, if you choose, to continue straight into the final year as well. And there is where you'll essentially hone all those skills. You'll bring everything together, all your opportunities, all your experiences, and your time with us through all the projects. This is where you're essentially doing your FMP. You'll have the opportunities to practice and stretch your legs with competitions, internally and externally. Currently, we have a great opportunity with Kiska, where we're working directly with Reno, one of the partners of Kiska, and some of his design team, with Gravity Sketch as well, the VR 3D application, sketch application. And we're currently working on a bike project with them. And again, our students are having a brilliant opportunity to work directly with Reno and his team, to learn about the design process, particularly the narrative and design thinking behind the project, and what it means to a company like Kiska. So it's a great opportunity, again, that we try and make available throughout the years. But again, you'll have that opportunity to develop your niche, specify and work on your design delivery through form design, developing rationale narratives, specializing in 2D or 3D areas, and then you'll have your degree show, where you'll get to show off your final pièce de résistance, the thing you've worked so hard for, to industry. And again, it's a great opportunity to show the world what it is that you can do. And I think Coventry continues to have a brilliant reach, global reach, when it comes to our show. It's something that PPs are the calendars of many alumni, many professionals, many companies as something that needs to be recognised, and we have a lot of international and local visitors every single year to come and see our students present their final FMPs. It's always a great opportunity to see the students be celebrated. So we do what we can to offer you opportunities within competitions. We've spoken about things like SEA, we've had Nissan projects, we've got Autodesk that we work with regularly, which we won last year. Our past students, Charlie Beresford and Harry, did a fantastic job at the first Autodesk competition, and were first place winners. And they were flown over to Germany along with myself and a few other students from other universities around the world to present their projects to industry, again globally. A great opportunity for networking to get your name out there, and this is something again that we're repeating this year. And just one of the opportunities, we have Red Dot winners in our lineup, in our alumni. This was last year where we worked with Nissan Design Europe with the Gravity Sketch, and some of our students went down and were able to present to the Vice President of Design, who is now Vice President of Nissan in Japan, I believe, Matt Weaver. So again, an invaluable experience that was really quite enjoyable, going down to the design studio for our students. JLR for early play skills collaboration. So in our first year, straight away, you're getting chucked into the deep end. You're working with JLR, learning the skills, learning the trade, learning the techniques. Again, there's fundamentals, and working with people like Leith Shanty, who's a fantastic final year student who has had various placements and is now going back and offering supports to our first years and helping them develop their skills within play. So again, you just get so much opportunity to practice and do things that, you know, whether you thought you wanted to do, or even things that you'd never considered doing. We try and offer all these opportunities to you, and you can see just some of the collaborative partners we've had through Aston Martin, McLaren, General Motors, Bentley, Geely, J6B, all of these people. We have events where they come in, again, JLR coming in weekly with the portfolio reviews. We have special events with the likes of JLR and again McLaren coming in doing talks about their studios, their opportunities, and what it means to be a designer within their space and within their departments. So again, you've got a full breadth of information coming to you through our Coventry connections, and these things happen over the second semester, where it's a weeks-long intense presentations, as you see here in our Hyper Studio, one of our great facilities within our new Derbyshire building, where they come in, vehicles come in, we can test them, we can sit in them, we can understand them. You get to pick the brains of professionals and alumni, both from a careers perspective and also a portfolio and skills perspective as well. We had the great opportunity to see the JLR Type 00 scale model as well, which was really fun to see as well. People like Norton or Royal Enfield as well. So we're not just automotive, we're bikes, we're yachts. We've got Winch Design, a fantastic studio down in London, who take most of our students. Most of their studio is Coventry alumni. So it's not just automotive that we do. We do our best to stretch and support you in wherever it is you want to go. And then ultimately, to kind of conclude, just some of the things that are available to you at the moment, and these are just some of the more recent job opportunities that are out there. The market is ever changing. The departments are ever growing. I'm sure you're aware of the advancements in AI and technology, developments within visualization, and all these things are offering new avenues, new areas, new departments that are emerging on a monthly and yearly basis. And these are just more opportunities and more job avenues for you to go into. So again, you might come here with the intention of being an exterior designer, but through projects of exploration, teamwork, and talking to industry professionals, you might find yourself being a visualization artist or a CMF designer or an AI specialist within a design team. All of these things are opportunities presented to you in your time here. Yeah, and if you want to stay in touch, feel free to reach out to our socials. We post there as regularly as we possibly can. And if you'd like us to try and stay in touch, we're trying to create something where it's not just more, it's more like an informal kind of what would be the word? The word has eluded me, Alan. Can you think of the word that I'm trying to come across? It's newsletter, a newsletter, informal newsletter. What it is that we're doing, photos of events that we have, maybe works of the week, showing what our students are capable of. So it's just a fun way to stay in touch and stay up to date with what's happening within these four walls here in Coventry. So if what I'm going to do, I'm going to quickly stop sharing. That was half an hour, so that would have been fairly whizzed through. Yeah, so I think now that the best thing we could do first is open the floor to any questions. Obviously, Alan is the MA student tutor. So if you have any questions for Alan about the MA course, please feel free to just shout out or type them in chat if you're not quite as confident. That's perfectly fine as well. Before we move on to the kind of the next thing, just showing a couple pieces of work of our students. Excuse me. Hi, Max.
I think
Yes.
that's a question.
Fire away. Oh, I think you might be muted, Max, or for some reason. No worries, take your time, no rush. Anyone else in the meantime have a question they might be able to still, yeah?
Excuse me, sir. Can I
yes,
ask
Kevin.
the term for studying the MA Automotive and Transportation Design?
Right, so Alan, the term start dates for MA.
The MA has now moved to a different system. So we have 6 entry points. So you can start in September, January. You have September, November, January, March, May, and then July. You have 6 entry points where you can start the course.
And the time for the course is 1 year, right? The full MA course.
Yeah, 13 months.
1 year, okay.
Hi, is it the same for UG as well? Do we have 6 intakes for UG?
So yeah, I think we will be at the time that potentially you might consider joining us. Yes, as of September 26. Am I right in thinking so? From September 26, we will have a 6 per year, 6 point intake throughout the year. So yeah, from September 26, you will then have September, November, January, March, May. Yeah.
Got it. As with the work placement, are the students getting paid?
Most in some cases, yes. You'll obviously some placements it depends how you go about getting it. In some cases, they can be potentially very short unpaid internships. But many that we have are paid internships over a period, and you'll kind of get paid an intern salary. The best frame of reference I have at the moment is a student who worked for a year at JLR, and I believe they were paid around about £28,000 for their time there. But again, that varies depending on company to company, obviously, as well.
Got it. Thank you.
Can everybody hear me well?
Yes, we can.
Yes, perfect. So I had to rejoin through my phone. So I'm applying for your master's course, and so I think that's Alan's division, I guess. So I'm applying for your master's course, and I've just I've gone through everything, but I just had my portfolio not accepted. So I guess, so I come from an industrial design background, so I completed a 4-year degree in industrial design in Australia. And my reason coming to the UK is because I want to follow car design, and there's nothing in Australia that has anything to do with, you know, car design, anything like that whatsoever. And I guess I've got my folio, I've got what I've done through industrial design, working with materials, metals, woods, leathers, you know. I've got bringing, studying and bringing products to like a viable market, something like a viable market product, through working with businesses. And then I've got my car stuff that I've done on the side. I guess I've had to do on the side. It's kind of been my passion. It's not really something I could follow at uni. And then I submitted all that, and unfortunately had it rejected. But you know, I'm definitely going to reappeal and all that kind of stuff. But I guess, how can I show? I guess I have what it means to get into this course.
What I suggest is, if you contact me directly, I'll look at your portfolio and then I can give you some advice on how to focus on the automotive sketching to make them a little bit more appropriate for the type of course this type of course. Is it okay if I put my email address in the chat?
Yeah, that'd be awesome. Yeah, that'd be great.
I think as
yeah,
well.
so
No,
if it
go on.
wasn't the space to talk about it, but I just thought while I had you.
No, I don't. Yeah, definitely, I don't blame you. I mean,
Yeah.
if we find the time, I've got no problem of using the kind of latter end of this presentation just to look through some of your work. My intention was to be able to give people a little bit of pointers and advice, and if we can actively help you, and then you can pass it on to Alan for maybe more of a comprehensive breakdown. I've got no problem with that if everybody else is okay with that.
Yeah.
Email
no,
address in the chat. Send me an email, send me your portfolio, and then I'll give you some tips and advice on how to, brush up your automotive skills maybe, and sort of enhance your sketching. The thing with automotive obviously is that it's quite a specialized subject. So the sketching is quite different to product design sketching.
Very.
I mean, that goes to the undergraduate as well. It's quite unique. The sketching for these courses is quite unique. They have certain topics. We can discuss that.
Yeah, and it's really like it's hard hearing all this because the course sounds amazing. Like it's exactly what I want to do. Even undergraduate, it's something I would have loved to have done. But I feel like, when you're 18, you graduate from college, you don't know all of this, and you kind of just go with what your mates are doing, and you study in your hometown. But there's a lot more out there. It's great.
I don't worry, we can work with you to get that to the standard.
Yeah, that would be amazing.
Yeah, and I think that the new six intake points should hopefully give you a little bit of rest of mind that you're not waiting an entire year. So should you eventually, if there is necessary need to change or improve in certain areas, you can do so, and then you don't have to wait until September to kind of apply and join us. That's the beauty of the new 6 intake. So it's a little bit of an unusual system that we've started, but this is the nice part of that as well.
Yeah, definitely. No, thank you very much. I'll definitely be in contact. Thank you.
Cool. Yeah, and like I said, if you do want to share the portfolio, the link to the Miro board's on there. Feel free if you do want to share it with other people. If you don't want people seeing it for this presentation, or again, you can wait, whichever is more comfortable to yourself.
For the moment, I may just wait and
sure, no problem at all.
because I kind of, yeah, I'm a bit, but you know, I just, yeah, I'm keen to hear everything else. Thank you very much.
Of course, no worries.
Yes.
Any other questions before I just kind of pop up a couple of our second year work or second year portfolio work? Any more questions about things like placements or working opportunities or collaboration between some of our student, our industry partners? If not, then I'm kind of happy that we've kind of covered that fairly well then. Was there anything that you felt like I missed out? Oh, sorry.
Yeah. For like PG, I remember I asked you about the course that PG is not offering for placement, right?
What was that? Sorry.
So the PG program does not like offer any placement for students to go on placement or like even for internship.
Right.
The way the system works now is if you want to go on a placement, you can interrupt study between any semester you want. You can, if you find a placement or we can help you find a placement, you can interrupt your study and then do a placement and then come back. So there's a lot more flexibility now in the structure of the course and when you can take breaks and sort of go on placements. I've been discussing with management if we're going to have a dedicated module that you can be on when you go out on placement, because a lot of companies want placement students to actually be actively enrolled as students. It does limit opportunities if you're not, because then you go into the temporary employment. So we're looking into that. But generally the structure is much more flexible now. So actually it's allowed for more opportunities to have placements at different times, depending on when they're offered. So in some ways it's actually beneficial to have the system that we have. But I will get back to with that because I'm in discussion with the management. We're also discussing this for the undergraduate course as well. And how we, sort of build in placement opportunities in a more flexible way.
Okay. So any question for Ashley before we move on to the part 2?
Cool. Okay. Well, if you do have a question, feel free to just either raise your hand or even speak out, because I might, if I'm streaming another page, I might not get to.
I got a question for you.
Oh, sorry, Daniel.
You said a couple minutes ago that we do have newsletters, right? Where can we see that?
So that link. So what I'll do, let me screenshot that last page. So at the moment, we're not quite getting any newsletters out. We're in the process of kind of formatting what that looks like. But as soon as we do, you can sign up with an email address here to do that. I'll just put that screenshot in the chat. That, and you also have just our social media. Let me just zoom in on that again a bit, and I'll put that in the same place.
Thank you.
It's all right. Yeah, because what we don't want it to be is just your bog standard newsletter. So, today, this week, we did this and this and this. We kind of want it to be as curated and kind of natural as possible. We really want something like that celebrates some of the kind of the student work and the things that they're doing. So it's more of a student focused thing rather than just a course thing. Because I think it's a great opportunity. So go for it.
Sorry. No, you just carry on. I will ask you after you finish.
Yeah, it was only short. I think it's really useful. I think it's good perspective for students wanting to come to see what students are doing. I think it's much more palatable, and you can kind of take in what it is you can expect to do through actually seeing the outcomes of some of the students' work, rather than actually just us telling, oh, you'll be doing this sort of project. But when you actually physically see it, it probably makes a little bit more sense, and it's also a bit more exciting seeing nice, pretty work.
Okay, so some question from the students and also ask about how does it relate to the AI? Like when talk about like automotive transport design, how does it relate to AI? Just refer back to your topic.
Yeah. So obviously, what I was going to do later, and I'll talk about it briefly now, and when we do, because I was going to do a little bit of demonstration with one of the AI tools that we use here. But AI, I think, is something that is obviously evolving constantly. To tell you where it's going to go is quite impossible at this point. But what we do know is that the industry is adapting in the ways that they can. Every company is approaching it differently. Some have very much adopted it as part of their workflow. For example, we work with Context, again, a small kind of local consultancy, an agency. And when they work with our second years, they're very adamant that students become AI literate, where they're using it very regularly within their workflow. Whether that be just standard word prompts to generate images, whether it's to building narratives of the worlds that the kind of the vehicles live in, or whether we actually be taking the sketches that you produce and developing them through either making them into new sketches, iterative sketches, or polishing them up to kind of give them a more of a final visualization style. Obviously, as we said, some companies like Context lean heavily into that because they see that to be the future. If we look at companies like Xiaomi, there's a video online you can find from this year's Autodesk conference where AI is now a massive part of that studio design process, where they're now able to get the design process from the initial sketch to the final product down to 9 months because of the support of AI and how quickly they can iterate with that. But obviously, with AI comes that fear of privacy, and the areas that we're finding pushback and maybe some sort of what might look like hesitancy from companies is more of that need to be just conscious and aware that they can't just put things out onto the internet, into these AI prompting softwares, because their ideas are then public, and it goes into the system. So we're finding many companies are creating or working with these companies to develop in-house AI farms in which they can generate privately, which is why we see things being a bit more kind of quiet from some areas and not from others. Consultancies might have a little bit less skin in the game, shall we say, for the term, whereas an OEM, they don't want to put their entire catalogue onto the internet for all to see. So obviously, and from a university standpoint, this kind of leaves us in a pickle where some projects that we do, we lean into it where we can. If there is, again, an opportunity to work with industry, we ask them, what do you want? Kiska at the moment is a great opportunity because the project doesn't bear any weight, because there's nothing live. Kiska wants or are very welcome for us and our students to use it as a tool to, again, explore, to understand world building, because there's so many things that AI can do, not just from a speed perspective, but in the kind of the ability to be iterative and random and different and prompt and kind of spur on new ideas that you wouldn't have necessarily considered. So you would be foolish to dismiss AI in this new industry. And I think if used properly, is a fantastic tool just for the creative purposes alone, let alone the other speed benefits and things like that it can offer. But I think from a university standpoint, and Alan might be able to speak about this as well if he has any other opinions, obviously we have an obligation to you as students to learn, and putting you in front of an AI tool that essentially does it for you, we have to be careful that you understand what it's doing and why it's done the things that it's done. Why has it produced this render based on this sketch? And we'll have an opportunity to look at this a little bit later. But understanding that you can't just put a sketch in and get an outcome and say that's what I want, because that's AI is just interpreting what you've given it. And if that sketch is incomplete or isn't fully realised or understood, if you've only done a side view and you haven't explored the surfaces or anything from multiple perspectives, then essentially what you're taking is something at face value, and you're not the one that's created that. You might have done the original sketch, but AI has done what it wants. So we need to make sure as an educational institute that you understand the fundamental skills first, so you can feed it properly with information, and that will give you the confidence to say, right, I know what I'm putting into this will give me X, Y output. And if I don't like that output, why has it done that? And how can I manipulate it, change it? What skills do I need to then direct it to where I want? We never want to take it at final face value. And yeah, we don't want to miss out on learning opportunities that AI can take away. There's no denying they're beautiful pictures. But yeah, if you've done one sketch and it gives you a beautiful 3D model, how much of it is really yours and how much of it is just being picked from the cloud. So yeah, hopefully when we have a little play around with a few sketches that I'll be chucking in from what's been posted on the Miro board already, you'll get to see some of the levels of kind of input you can have or not have with something like AI. I hope that answers. It's kind of I went it's a very long way, but it's a very complex topic that I think quite a few people are still scared of. I think many people are still scared of, particularly universities, because it has a lot of implications. Has anyone tried AI yet? Has anyone practiced with this? Probably an interesting question. We have mixed. Ryan's had a go. We have mixed responses. Strangely, from our students in the past 2 years, they've been quite reluctant to use it, which has been strange. We expected them to want to jump on it, which is quite nice. They understand that they have to learn the basics first, and then they're like, okay, now I'll dabble. So it's nice to see people going, I'll wait, or I'll learn first. Yeah. Any other questions, I guess?
I guess, yeah, I think that's all from the student, because like some student like message me at the back.
Yeah, sure. No, that's perfectly fine.
Yeah.
Like I said, again, anything that comes to your mind, just shout out. I don't mind being interrupted when I'm doing this. So yeah, this leaves us about 10 minutes to run through just a couple of pieces of students' work. So I've just got 2 portfolios. I'll just share my screen again. I've just got 2 portfolios that I've popped up. But I thought it's just a really nice representation of, let me just whiz through, what you can expect or what we expect. Now, obviously, there are edge case situations where you have students who are exceptionally talented or most likely exceptionally motivated with talent. And I think that's a big distinguisher is, you might look at some students or some people as being, really gifted and really skilled, but what you don't always stop to think about is how much time they actually put into this. But these are 2 students who Harvey is currently on placement with our colleagues at Advanced, currently specialise in consultancy and their kind of personal sports cars, which is obviously every boy and girl's dream if you're going to be an automotive designer. So he's currently out there learning his craft. But this was a portfolio that he had when he applied for things at Christmas last year. So this is about 1-year-old portfolio. He also used his portfolio to apply for the Aston Martin internal project, because again, there's always that competition internally, and you have to kind of justify why you should be a part of certain groups, especially with the industry projects, because obviously there's a standard and expectation. So we try and keep it as professional as possible, and you apply for your roles or the jobs that you want, as it were, for the industry projects that happen in the second semesters. But yeah, so this is Harvey Lee. So this is his. Here we go. So it gives you a nice breakdown. But these are some projects that he had at the time. And what we always try and say to students, as I kind of touched on, is experiment with a range of projects. You want to show your breadth and depth as a designer. You want to be able to show that you can put your hands to anything. It might not necessarily mean every skill, but you should, as a designer, first and foremost, be able to design almost anything, or want to at least try. I think the one thing that is also really important to say, and it's I'd say it's quite synonymous with automotive fans, is that we like cars so much that all we want to do is cars. All we want to render is a sports car or a fancy hypercar. We want to do those flashy images, these flashy images. But ultimately, that's not actually what design is. Design is about solving problems. It's about putting your head to a problem and trying to come up with an idea. And that might just be a visual problem, how to come up with something visually innovative and new and unique. But in most cases, it's about understanding users and understanding people and proposing a design solution that is best suited to their needs. That is either been identified and given to you, or that you've identified in research. And once you understand that design is the thing that keeps you going, is the thing that we really love to do, then every project is made easier. Harvey, demonstrated from an early position that he was extremely committed and dedicated to putting the time in. I don't think I've today seen anyone put quite as much time in to their work than Harvey, to the point where we'd have to send him home in some cases to sleep. Because he just wouldn't sleep the day before or the night of the presentation. So the presentation would have to happen and we'd have to send him home. But he was that sort of person who was dedicated and committed to his craft. But he has a great aptitude to just wanting to try something new, to explore, to push himself. So he's demonstrating 2D, 3D. And like I said, this is a second year project, so Christmas. So all in all, he's had about, since Christmas time, about 36 weeks worth of university teaching time, and then not to mention all of the practice hours outside of that. But this is about the 36-week mark of starting the course and when he would have submitted a portfolio like this to placements. But again, flexing his interiors, his understanding of conceptual thoughts, presentation and formatting is really important. How do you present yourself and your work? How you put it across visually is really important. We try and give diverse projects that will challenge you. In this case, this is a project that we're currently doing the first year. Is about designing a brand, an automotive or transportation brand language for a non-automotive brand. In this case, it was North Face, and it's a team project. But obviously, Harvey went away and developed a kind of a user narrative, understood the brand, and developed a vehicle that would suit that user, a particular use case. And he obviously put the time into present that in a way that was really well descriptive, showed skill, showed consideration of application, use case scenarios, demonstrating skills within 2D and 3D. And these are all things that, again, I will teach you. You're first year students, and I'm still teaching first year, that is, but we will teach you, whether it's subdivisional modeling, NURBS modeling, Photoshop, or basic analog sketching. These are the skills that we will teach you in this first year, and this is essentially what can be done with the information that we give you. And again, a lot of it, as you all know, I'm sure, is about how much kind of personal time you put in to developing those skills and developing your craft. And then we have someone like Ollie Weaver, which I think is a nice contrast to Harvey. He is currently on placements. I wish I knew which company, but he's on a boat placement. I want to say Winch. I could be wrong there, but he's on a boat placement at the moment for a year. But we have fun little kind of week-long projects, summer projects that turn into week projects, which allow you to just kind of stretch your legs, be a bit creative, wild and wacky, have some fun with kind of pedigree names and heritage, and do you understand brand and what brand is within particular contexts. Again, demonstrating you can do 2D and 3D, and you can present it very well. This was another first year project, so similar to the North Face projects that I've just shown you. This is a nothing branded yacht, and again, understanding that the brand, what it means to have a DNA. What does philosophy mean within the grand scheme of a company, and how do we apply that to our own vehicles? and how does it translate from one use case to another. We have a colleague of ours, Sean McCartan, who has exceptional skill and knowledge and background within the marine yachts world, written many papers, done much research on what yachts are and what it means to essentially be a yacht designer. So you'll have a great opportunity to speak with people like Sean if that's something you're interested in. And in here, I think this was lovely because you got to see Ollie's passion for boats translate into a vehicle, a bit like maybe something like Rolls-Royce will have done with their boat tail. But this was the Nissan collaborative project. These were one of the top. These weren't one of the top three. Funnily enough, even though the project was a beautiful presentation, the competition was quite fierce. We had a first year actually in the final of the Nissan competition, which was fantastic for her. Yi Kim, she's a really strong second year student, and she proved herself in this competition to Nissan that she's really got what it takes to stand against final year students in this case and produce something of merit as well. But this was all done in Gravity Sketch. This was Ollie's first experience with sub-D modelling. So we start you off simple, light, and kind of manageable to understand the basic skills. And then this was a personal project of his. So I think, again, one thing that's really important when it comes to your work, and people like Max, I think you've already demonstrated a good understanding of this, but if this isn't something that you've had the opportunity to do, to put the time in and demonstrate that it's what you want, it's all about putting that extracurricular, self-directed time, developing personal passion projects that stretch yourself, show who you are, develop those skills, and really push yourself. And I think if you're doing that already now, without even being on the course, then it puts you in a good standing to be really quite confident and competent within our studio, and you'll work very well with us. So those are just a couple of examples. And again, before I move on to the third and final thing for the last half an hour, which is kind of just giving tips and pointers, is there anything based on what I've just showed that you have any questions about, whether the skills that they've demonstrated, the tools that they used? Yeah. Excuse me while I just cough.
How many pieces of artwork does the student need to provide for the portfolio for undergraduates?
Right. Now that can vary, to be honest. I think it varies from person to person. It also varies for the depth of the project, wouldn't you say, Alan? But I think the sweet spot is usually about 3 to 4, in my opinion. I think you can stretch your legs a little bit. Would you kind of agree with that or think differently, Alan?
Personally, I think it's to put in everything you have. If you have 3 samples sketches, maybe do not. What I suggest is don't edit too much yourself, anticipating what we want to see. We'd rather see more and less. And we'd also like to see it, if you've done a lot of sketches, we'd like to see that you've done a lot of sketches. And also, if you have hobbies, you've made things either physically or digitally, or you're interested in photography, any of those things we'd like to see, or painting, whatever you've done artistically or that supports your sort of portfolio for this type of course, put it in there. Don't edit too much. I think we will look at everything you show.
Yeah, I think just to clarify, then just to make sure we're talking about maybe a professional one. You're talking about when students give us a portfolio, maybe to apply.
Professional.
I think it was, but I think it's good that you answered that still. So I agree with Alan there. So we don't get cross. I think if you're presenting a portfolio to us, yes, everything. We'd love to see who you are, especially if you haven't done automotive before. Anything that is creative, anything that shows what you like, what you're passionate about, whether it be photography, just loose sketches, fine art, whatever it is, we understand who you are, because we can see a lot in effort. We can see a lot more in effort than we can see maybe in skill. I'd much rather see, as Alan said, you know, dozens and dozens and dozens of sketches that might be on the kind of lower quality side, for want of a better word, but it demonstrates that you've got commitment to trying to practice over somebody who has 2 or 3 really nice sketches, because that doesn't really tell us much. It might say that they've just spent a very long time on those sketches. So yeah, if you're applying to us, give us everything, and we'll lap it up, and because we'd love to talk to you about it as well. We've all got little passions and hobbies as well on the side that we like to talk about.
For professional portfolios or portfolios for professional opportunities, we do work with students on developing portfolios and their professional identity and the way they present themselves as professionals. So that's very much part of the course. So hopefully by the end of the course, you'll have a very competitive portfolio that you can show to industry for potential opportunities. So that's something we work with the students throughout the course.
Yeah, we've got
their interests and specialisms, you know, what they want to specialize in. So the portfolio is very personal, depending on what your career aims are.
Yeah, I mean, like I said earlier, we've got JLR at the moment coming every Friday, dedicates about 3 or 4 hours to our second years and third years, just to give them portfolio advice. The projects don't have to be finished, the portfolio isn't complete, but they're giving you pointers based on maybe, as Alan just said, your specialism, your interests, what it is that you should show, maybe how you should show it. There's people that have hopefully, in some cases, been in the industry for many years, but also our alumni that managed to get roles with JLR in recent years. So they have a very good understanding of what makes a successful portfolio now. So that's a great opportunity. But yeah, I think professionally, you'll see that as you change, your portfolio is very much telling us who you are, what you're interested in, where your skills lie, and what sort of specialism you're trying to actually target. It's not always the best idea to do the shotgun approach and say, I want to do everything, because then you don't always specialise in everything. There are those who can specialise in everything, and if you're one of those gifted individuals, then well done to you, and show it. In some cases, you might want to focus on your visualization, your animation outcomes, as opposed to your sketching. And again, that's perfectly fine if those are the jobs you're applying for. Cool. Lovely. Okay. So yeah, that leaves us 25 minutes. Let's have a quick look just before I just pull it up. So we've got one more sketch that just joined from Sean of a automotive render, and we've got Kevin, it looks like, who's posted a lot of his personal work, which is really good to see. So we've got a nice range of sketches from Kevin, from cars to bikes to interiors as well, which is really good. So yeah, in this half, 25 minutes, I'm going to try and be as quick as I can, because this can be a laborious thing. So I'm not going to try and polish or fine tune anything we've got. Just take this on so I can stop rattling. Yeah, I'm not going to try and perfect one of your sketches. It'll be a good opportunity for me and Alan to just point out maybe a few areas that you could work on, areas to improve and focus your attention on to kind of develop your skills. And then also some of these we'll take into AI, and I'll show you as quickly as competently as possible how I used to use AI in its current form at the moment. So if I just go back to, I just lost the chat. There we go. Let me just share my screen once again. So yeah, Kevin, thank you for sharing this. I'm going to put this window in the corner just so we can see Alan's face if he has anything to say, and also if Kevin pops up to talk about the work. Again, the link is in the chat if you want to pop something up, if you put courage up. If not, don't stress. But yeah, let's have a look. So what have we got? So, like I said, first of all, it's nice to see a range. It's nice to see you kind of dabbling in different types of transportation, and not just cars, bikes as well. Notoriously not the easiest things to draw bikes from personal experience, you have to really understand the anatomy of a bike to make something look correct. And then we've got some interior steering wheels, a bit of HMI, which is cool to see, cool to be considered, and then some interior sketches as well. Cool. Where should we start, Alan? Should we start with the simplest of and go to the cars and just talk about little bits that we can tweak?
Yeah, what's good here is that there's shading on there as well, because line work is great, but if you have shading and you're showing form and surfaces, that's always useful.
Yeah.
One thing I would say about side views, use the circle guide. Make sure your wheels are round, and also make the, if you're putting a line as the floor, make it straight. And then whatever you draw on top of that, you know that the circles are absolutely correct.
Yeah.
And that your shapes, you can use those as a sort of constant, if you like.
Yeah, so if I was to take this sketch to start off with, I should copy and paste this. Yeah. It's just to see some ad hoc developments. Here now. Yeah, as Alan said, I think great to see shadow. It looks like you do have a kind of a nice basic understanding of core shadows, which are essentially your horizon line reflection, or the point in which the kind of the shadow is at its darkest because the light would help with mine. This is where technology is going to fail me. So all of a sudden, like where I'm drawing is about 2 inches away from where the pen is showing. Let's have a go again. Yeah. Oh, there we go. Okay, so Alan, if you don't mind, just having a natter about this, just will like quickly fix the.
Well, actually, he's done some really lovely curves and lines.
You can see my professional line quality right there. Let me just pull up the.
Yeah, these sketches are nice. They look proportionally correct. The vehicle does look actually proportionally the correct size. It's not too long. It's not too short. And the height to the wheels looks correct as well.
It looks like you're using underlays to support some of these sketches as well, which is very good to see. Should look there. Looks like it's working as our lights did. Technology is trying to defeat me as we go.
Well, the other thing is that those are nice pencil sketches as well. Pencil sketches are nice because you can moderate the pressure. You can get like a very fine line, and then you can put some dynamism in your lines, give the line some weighting.
Yeah, that was kind of one thing I was going to talk about is line weight and dynamism of the sketch. I think what we try and do is make sure that when we draw, especially drawing vehicles, things that are in motion, you want to make them kind of appear in motion, or at least have the energy of movement. We don't want things to look static when we draw them. So if I were to, let's try this again, copy paste. Go across and enlarge it. So then let's get the bits. So as Alan said, always give yourself a ground line. Vehicles don't float. So when you see things kind of like floating in mid-air, it's a little bit uncanny valley. It's a bit kind of alien-like, and you'd be surprised at how much a ground line actually gives the volume, the kind of shape and size to a vehicle. Obviously, you don't have the luxury of drawing something like a cylinder like this, but obviously, as Alan said, you can get ellipse guides, which can just be, you just have to quickly chuck in something like this, put it in position, and get an idea. Let's say put the smaller X corner. So you put your wheels in, and you get a better idea. Then we can talk about things like wheelbase all day long. But obviously, many cars have what's called a wheelbase, which determines, or is a kind of a measure of how long the vehicle is, and that length can determine a load of things based on package. But what we've got is Then we've got a frame of reference. And that energy that we want in our work, we kind of want our lines to emphasize the shapes and the speed that we have this kind of sketch or this vehicle would have. So allow your lines to kind of taper and run off. Consider things like your mass in relation to things like wheels. It's not a surefire rule that would, you know, arches have to be banged over the middle of something, but weight and weight distribution and proportions when it comes to the weight of vehicles is really important against how something sits on the road. Remembering when you've got a bit of perspective. So the thing with some of these, they may look flat for a reason, and one of that might be the perspective. So regardless of being a side view, you've got a a vanishing point that is somewhere way off in the distance. And what helps give a vehicle like this on a side view a bit of stance is that little bit of poke that you'll see from the far wheels, because there's width to this car. You know, it could be a fairly wide car, but to emphasise that, you might see just a little bit of those far wheels just appearing on the far side of the vehicle. We could think about kind of the shape of some of these surfaces. And again, the energy that's in the line work, if you want them to have that word that we talked about so much is dynamism, have some speed into these things, and let your kind of pencil run off. Using contours to explain surfaces, so you've got shading, which is great, but things like contours that can be, you could just use a door shut line to explain you know, what a surface might be doing is invaluable to communication, because again, everything that we do is about communicating what a surface is doing to somebody else or to yourself. If you're going to 3D model this, if you're intending to do a 3D model of this vehicle, you need to, it's really going to aid you if you can demonstrate through contour lines and accurate shading what these surfaces are doing. But again, it's that little kind of roll, a little bit of shadow here. So this is a little highlight potentially. Light's going to catch. Draw your light lines. And your light lines again define the surfaces, define the forms. You've kind of got that already actually in some of your shading that you've already got at the moment. So you've done a good job at trying to explain where the kind of crown, as we call it, of the body is, where it rolls and tucks, which is great to see. Again, think about how much of that kind of like face that you might see. Do your headlights kind of wrap around, or is the face of this vehicle right on the very front end? Are there elements and features that speak to each other? But there's just that little bit of energy in the sketch when you allow your pencil or pencil crayon or whatever it is that you're using just to roll that little bit more. Pull that quickly and then we'll do a quick comparison. So again, a very nice sketch, but just having that ground, that little bit of motion. Obviously, I have got the shading in like you have, is really useful. If I quickly group those like that, I think watching the perspective, and this is where Photoshop can be your best friend. Just make sure that things don't have a lean on them. Best way to do it, if this is a piece of paper, just turn it round and hold it to the light. And what we can see straight away is that there is a slight lean on things. The whole car is kind of scared of the front end a little bit, which is very common. Most likely, and I don't know if you can see my camera, but most likely it's because the way that we actually sit when we draw. Remember to sit up straight when you draw every now and then, just to have a look down, straight down at the sketch, because a lot of us, and myself included, will draw at an angle where we'll kind of lean on our one arm as we draw, and because of that, the perspective looks correct when we look at it from an angle, but when we lift up, we can see that it's skewed. So always take a second to lift up and assess the sketch. So something like this. If I flip it back around, I'll just try and get a quick sketch over the top before we jump into this. Just to draw it with a screen. We've got the front end right here. So this is an ellipse method. It's not something that's used by everybody, but it's a bit too complex of a concept to explain right now. But this is essentially my perspective guideline. So something like this, I'm using this as an ellipse to kind of measure where my vehicle hard point ends, the kind of the front of the nose, where my front wheels kind of sit on my back wheel. I understand this as kind of a 3D form, so there's form to this. I can understand that this part of the surface is facing up and down. Things that you kind of develop as you go along. You'll understand a little bit more about perspective and how this might sit. But obviously, that far wheel is going to appear narrower because of foreshortening as it's further away from us in the perspective. So if I move this sketch up as a frame of reference now, what we can do is look at where our A pillar sits. Obviously, this is a hatchback. It can be quite far forward, but obviously we've got the height of a hatchback. It sits up a little bit, and we can exaggerate the kind of stance of this. It can be a little bit of still of a fun sketch to explore speed and forms, surfaces. But obviously, you might want to think about the general shape. And remember, obviously, you're losing a lot of the design is kind of disappearing round. It's a bit too long in the chin here as well. You've got that angle, so we need to kind of sit it up a little bit, make sure this shape follows the same shape over here. And this is perspectively in line with each other on this particular angle. And then same here. So again, if my vanishing points are going off in this direction, make sure that all of your lines are disappearing to those areas as well. Center line somewhere around there. Seems nice Lexus design. So that shape, follow this a bit. Here. Something a bit more like that. So you've got a bit more verticality to the sketch. You've not quite gone as long on that front end, which is what's dragging the chin down a little bit. But always remember, it's essentially what you're working towards is something like this in this particular instance. That's a box method with your axles and your perspective and vanishing points disappearing to the same area like this. But obviously this is hidden in the ellipse method that I use. Pardon me. Again, if there's any questions and I haven't seen them, if they've popped up in chat, again, just shout out. I don't want to kind of just run off with these. But what I can do very quickly now, hopefully they're still there behind these. And let's pull Alamaco. Let's go back onto here. I've already got a couple of your images popped into the AI. And this is VisCom. VisCom is probably the most, in my opinion, my experience, shall I say, and my experience isn't vast, but in my experience, the VisCom is a really nice introductory tool to AI and AI prompting and image development, especially within automotive and transport design. It's trained on automotive and transportation very heavily, whereas in some cases some AIs aren't. So the outcomes that you'll get are quite convincing in some cases, can be quite useful. but obviously it's still a tool, it's still learning, and there are still areas that we need to understand. So what I wanted to just go through is just how I might look at using something like this. The first thing what you always want to ask yourself is, what's the original sketch? What's the purpose of that sketch? Is this a sketch that's the initial idea? It's the first thing that you just put down on paper, and you want to visualize what that might look like, or is this one in many that you're iterating over and over and over again? And this is just in a part of a series of concepts, which is about just churning out more and more ideas. Depending on what AI tool you use, and they're getting better, it will require a different type of drawing process. This AI tool in the past hated shading. It hated complex shading anyway. It liked just simple outlines, and that was it, because all it wanted to do was try and give you an idea rather than try and read and understand the forms that you were communicating. But what we can see here, so what I produced, I just interpreted this as something here. I've put a hyperbike with a lightweight speedform surfacing, and engine components and racing style wheels. That's all I asked of it. And when I did this, this was just a simple prompt to generate ideas. And in most AI outcomes, you have the ability to change the influence of the original drawing. And what I mean by that is, how close is it going to look to this? And say, right, I'm sticking to this as a baseline. The lower that percentage, the more free you're allowing the AI to be. And this was just using an exterior, I think that this was just Viscom generator. But obviously, as we've gone along, same prompt, but with different levels of influence. So this was at 50% influence, so it was only using 50%, and 50% was its own creativity. This went up to 75, this went up to 80, and then I changed the prompt slightly, but this was going up to 90. I try not to use 100% because it will then very rarely change a lot. If I kind of give an example, let's see what happens if I just ramp that up to 100. And this is where it goes something crazy and gives me something completely unique and shows me up. But again, you have to know what you want into something like AI. You can't trust it to read your mind, and you can't trust it to give you your final outcome. The best way to use it is, again, a tool to support design development, to support ideation, exploration, and play around with iteration and iterative forms, because I think it excels in that quickly. So we can see here already very close to what you've already produced with very little iteration. It's just slightly going to kind of render those surfaces and give you something vaguely interesting based on what you draw. But what it does, and this is where I like to use it, is if I was rendering, if I wanted a sketch render, what I would then do is I could take this image and put this it says, is it? Yeah. Put this, let's take the screenshots. Sorry, a little bit laggy now, we've been on the call for so long. Doesn't always like Teams and Photoshop like that on laptop. But now what we've got here is the ability to bounce ideas. So this area for me is where it shines. Understanding surfaces is really tricky, and it's, again, I've said it loads of times. You have to know that this is what you want, and if it isn't, you have to know how to change that. So what I would do, let's say if I go back to my original sketch, which is over here, you can do it, which is here. And again, I could interpret this differently because it's not my sketch. But let's say that it's rendered this surface slightly wrong. I wanted this to be more of a kind of dramatic highlight here. So what I would do personally is take a colour swatch. So I've cherry picked that blue colour in this area, and I'm actually going to just drag these elements through. And I'm going to start to try and carve this shape into something that was more representative of what I may have imagined, may have visualized in this area. We've got a lot of highlight here, so I might want to kind of add again that shape back into here, create more of a color break between the surfaces. I could potentially put the a bit of detail in, and the beauty of it is because we're going to use AI again, we can be rough and ready and see what it produces. A bit of red, just keep going out of the way, a bit of red. Yeah, well, there we go. Bit of red there, a little bit of illumination, because we have to tell AI what to do. We can't trust it to know everything. You might hide some headlights, tail lights in there, and you might have your gear, your handlebars, again, which can be crude. Sticking games with maybe some loose front cowl, front windscreen shield here. Maybe a little bit different colour. Let's go for something radical. It's nice and this, but it'd be interesting to see as an experiment. Like pink to this top half. But as you can see, what I'm doing is I'm telling you what I want. I'm using it as a speed tool. It's made my life easier. I haven't had to render this from scratch. The AI has done that, which has saved me something like this. I think even for someone competent would take about 25, 30 minutes at the least. And if you're a student, you can think, well, that's 3-4 hours worth of work, which it is feasibly. Let me just put a bit of seat here. And then with this, let's just add a color variation to it. Let's go. So that's soft, it's nice. And then what I'm going to do is we'll just screenshot this again, go away. And we'll put this back in. And there we're saying, right, you were close. You understood me fairly well. Not quite, but let's try it again. So let's go back to one here. Zoom out. This time I'm going to back screen. Put the new one in. Take a second. I'm just going to use the same font for the sake of it. In this case, plus icon. Nope. So a bit laggy. Plus. Go render. And let's scare ourselves at the end of this. Let's see what it does. So it's already taken my pink for some reason. That's because I didn't specify that it was pink, but all of a sudden it just went, I don't need to know that information. But that's really interesting. So now we've got a form that's becoming different, but it's still not what I wanted. So all of a sudden, again, even with 100%, it's changed my shape. I've lost that crease and that shadow in there. It's now changing and manipulating what I've got. It's still interesting. It's still things that we can potentially learn from. This two-tone colour is quite nice, but maybe I have to specify a pink. But now it's still changed the bottom of the body colour. So again, there is a push and pull that happens with AI. It's not flawless, it's not perfect. There are AIs that are very, very good and others that are still developing and learning. But let's have a look at one thing that could be quite interesting as a final finish is let's animate and let's just turntable. And this is where all of a sudden you say, well, why do I need to do anything? Just wait 5 seconds. Let's see if this can, and what it will do with this turntable animation. And we'll kind of end there. But like I said, AI is so powerful and all-encompassing now. But the thing that we can't stress enough is that you're the one leading this. You're the one still holding the pencil, for want of a better word. The AI is just a tool that we use to support us. It's not a replacement for us. In some industries, they feel it might, but we have to make sure that that's not the case, and we can demonstrate that we have value as a designer still, and AI is our tool into that. So we can't shy away from it. We have to learn how to adapt to these ever-changing skills. It's only like when Alias digital 3D modeling was introduced for the first time. Clay modelers got nervous that their jobs were going to be taken because people were fearful. Same for Photoshop. It's a dying art, is rendering. But also, essentially, all it did was essentially just improve and build upon what was already there. And it's the same with AI. It can just do a lot more things in a single package. So let's just see what that looks like. We're stuck at 90% now, isn't it? 3 minutes over. That's not too bad. Do we have to rush off, Kelly? Oh, here we go. Terrifying.
There are some time. Yeah.
Oh dear, that scares me every time. That really scares me every time. What that can do. Even imagine an exhaust pipe from somewhere, even though there's no mechanics, which again is a bit strange. But that is quite the outcome from what was literally, well, probably a 10-minute, 20-minute sketch. Me doing a few iterations, then putting in one variation of change, then do its thing with an outcome. Yeah, always fun to see, but it's promising. Because it's good. Awesome. So yeah, any questions on that?
I have a
Oh,
question.
we guys didn't.
Yeah, sure, go for it.
Okay, so because I've seen this video, the AI creative, and I think about one question about what's the difference between a human creating and a AI creating? Because I think the AI and the creative is like random combining something, but I just couldn't divide them. What's the difference between them?
So what's the difference? So you're asking what the difference is between an AI designing something and a human designing something? Yeah.
For me, the create is like the random combining something. Yeah.
Well, I think that could. I mean, that's a philosophical question which I'm probably not skilled enough to answer. And Alan, please save me if I put our jobs in jeopardy at any point. I think it depends how you define it. Ultimately, you can just give AI something and it will produce you an outcome. That outcome might be beautiful. It might be suitable for the job, but obviously there's fundamentally there's a point in which the human has to intervene, whether that be right at the beginning and telling it what it wants. The AI then does it. Or the creation of it or the feeding of the information to the AI in order for it to produce something. Without us knowing why the AI does something, and this is where the kind of the meaning and the rationale and the thought process of design kind of becomes important. It's about, everything that we do is about understanding the why. It's understanding the problem at hand, understanding and identifying the solution. Design is still a human-centered experience, whether the person, the human is the designer. but most likely the human is the person that we are designing for, whether that just be to make their life easier, better, providing an easier, speedier solution to get them from point A to point B, or making their life easier when it comes to using a forklift truck in a confined space. Ultimately, what we have is an understanding of people and our ability to kind of connect with people. And it might sound cheesy and a bit anti-AI, but currently AI, to my understanding, doesn't have that. It can't have that empathetic approach and sympathetic approach to a problem. It just produces an outcome. And as I said earlier, it is a tool. It's just like Photoshop. It's just that this just does Photoshop for you. But ultimately, without guidance, you've seen it. It did something. I didn't ask it to do to change this area to pink. I didn't ask it to add an exhaust. It kind of done something on its own. So it doesn't have, you know, the ability to fully comprehend yet. I could preface that with a massive yet, because it will come. But again, it's all down to, I think, what design means and what design is, who it's for. And to me, it's people. And I don't think AI will be there for quite a long time in terms of understanding what people really need. But that could be just.
Well, I mean, I'd add to that, as a designer, you're responsible for every square centimetre of your design. So the question is, Kevin, is that what you had in mind when you sketched your motorbike?
Actually, it was just I kind of design sketches when I was trying to practice for, because I draw motorbikes because I feel like I've drawn many cars for such a while, because I just finished my internship in China Motors July and August, and now I'm preparing for the later for the transportation design studies in the university for post-graduation. Yes, and so I'm thinking about that. Some random sketches, or like for bikes or aircrafts, maybe is essential for some schools, professors. Maybe they want to see the different dimensions about the student. Yeah, not only drawing cars, but also some maybe products, motorbikes, aircraft, to see the students in the. I didn't really know how to explain, but
Yeah,
different perspective.
Yeah, you wanted to show a range of skills and techniques. I think but what Alan was asking is, when you drew that first sketch, when you drew that bike, was this how you imagined it to look in your head?
Yes,
exactly.
Yes, from my head, exactly. I just like doing like randomly, and I feel that the form is perfect, and I started to explore. They become the sketches of the bike. Yes.
Sorry, yeah, Alan, did you have anything you wanted to add to that kind of question, the statement?
No, I mean, the thing is that if you have a very simple sketch and this is the outcome, I mean, it is an amazing outcome. I think this works quite nicely, actually. No problem with it at all.
Yeah.
But as a designer, you tend to want to control shapes and forms, because you have in your head an idea of what this will look like. So, you know, if you use AI and you can't control it 100%, you will relinquish some of the responsibility of the design and the control. So it's important that you can control it to get exactly out of it what you want, because it's your design. You have to defend it. You have to sort of believe in it. So that you know, it takes a lot of skill actually to get AI to do what you want, like it does any other tool, Photoshop, whatever. But sketching is key. So you
Yeah,
have to be-
without sketching, you won't have anything, and you wouldn't have this. So I think that is a fundamental skill that will never change. I think you hear many people say that, your ability as a designer to communicate comes ultimately from the pencil in your hand. I think you're a big extra. Lovely. Okay, yeah. If there's no other questions, that was I think that was a nice pleasure. I'm glad we managed to answer a few questions. I hope it was somewhat enlightening and vaguely useful, that little end demonstration for what it was worth. And yeah, if you have any questions, don't hesitate to reach out to Kelly and Kelly to us if you have any questions after this.
Yeah, I think that's very useful, and I believe the student got a lot of insights about their course and how do they should demonstrate their portfolios to you guys in the futures. Yeah.
Good. Great.
And yeah. Okay,
Yeah,
so I hope to see you everyone in 2026. Anything that like Danny want to add up?
Daniel, are you talking about me?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I do know that there are many students from South Korea currently studying ATD at Coventry Uni. Hopefully, I can give to them some of the insights that was shared during the session. Thank you so much for the session.
You're very welcome. You're very appreciate it.
Thank you very much for everyone for joining the seminar tonight, and thank you Ash and also Ellen.
Thank you for having us.
You're very welcome.
Happy to do it again.
All right. Thank you guys.
Lovely.
Thank you.
Good night
Bye.
all. Thank you for your time. Bye.
Bye.
Quite nice to meet people as well. Good.
Right.
Hey,
Yes,
Max, how you doing?
Yes.
Yeah.
When I dropped out of the call, I don't think I managed to catch your email, Alan, but I think I got it online. And I sent an email. Just wanted to double
Yeah, I
check.
think you're right.
Okay. Perfect. Thank you guys.
No worries. That was Max. All the
Yeah,
best.
hope to see you next year.
Yeah, likewise.
Cheers.
See ya. Bye. Cool. I'll give you a call back in a second.
Like a cup of tea.
Yes, yeah, I'll give you that break. Yeah, I'll go over to the loop. In a sec.
Okay, see you in a moment. Bye, everyone.